Welcome back. Well, yes, as you've seen, we're joined now by Senator Sam Egwu, who is the Chairman, Senate Committee on Housing. He's also former governor of Ebonyi State. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you, Chamberlain.
Yeah, so, taking a look at some of what is unfolding in the country, quite a lot. But let's start off from that meeting that the caucus in Ebonyi State, PDP, in the National Assembly held concerning developments in your state. We did speak to some of the persons yesterday representing the government, and they flatly refuted the claims that the caucus made about the matter. So could you tell us, those comments that were made by the caucus, of which you were part of that meeting, do you stand by them? Did they actually happen? Because they say there's no proof of all of those allegations.
Thank you, Chamberlain. At my age, I think I will not be party to falsehood. And I will also not be party to doing something that will be against my state, against the governor, whom we help to install by God's grace. So I stand by all we said.
You'd say that the meeting also spoke about having audio evidence, pictorial evidence, part of which was, I think, was it governor's brother or thereabout. If that were the case, has the next step been taken, which is submitting them to the police authorities for relevant action?
Yeah, you see, when we met as a caucus, in fact, stakeholders of PDP in Abuja, not just National Assembly members, but other stakeholders, we evaluated what is happening in the state, the kidnapping of a former coordinator who later was released, and we heard him make some statements, and even the audio voice of the governor's brother about Ebube, where they were meeting the governor, and listening to it. And I did listen to it. It was because of that conviction that I was good enough, convinced to join in the press conference. And we also planned, when we met, that those of us in the National Assembly will address the press conference of the nation, alerting them on the danger and what the situation in Ebonyi State. And then other stakeholders will also meet with the security agencies and some important figures and agencies in the country to allow them about to stop. So they have full knowledge and everything concerning what we said.
You know, when Ebube was formed, different regions at least have gotten some form of security structure or the other. Many were of the impression that, okay, well, they want to ensure that they set that up to stop incessant kidnappings and protect lives and property for which the governors were elected for. Do you have a problem with the formation of Ebube in Ebonyi State?
Yeah, Mr. Chamberlain, I don't have any problem with the formation of Ebonyi because that was the decision of the governors of the country. But the problem I have is with the way and manner Ebube is formed and operates in Ebonyi State. You see, a situation where you are forming a vigilante group or a security activist and you personalize it. One would have thought that for such agency to exist, even recruitment, you have to advertise it. You have people who should know about it. In Ebonyi, now, those who are members of Ebonyi, how were they employed? How were they recruited? The people want to know, was there an advertisement? Because even in the police, the army, civil defense, all agencies, including DSS. People know when they want to recruit. People apply. There are minimum standards for employment. I mean, for you to be considered for employment in those agencies. What of Ebube in Ebonyi State is actually something nobody knows about. It's only the government that determines or employs people without any standard. Nobody knows the standard, the modus operandi. We are all aware of the model of the Southwest. We know who is the leader in every state, retired security personnel. You see their uniform, you see their vehicles, well marked out in Ebonyi own. We don't have such vehicles. Nobody has ever seen vehicles in Ebonyi. The color they have, the people that are members, in fact, I was thinking that such security outfit is for the state. People should know about it. Youth who are unemployed will also see that as means of employment for those who want to go to that area. People should know how to operate, should know their headquarters, people should know everything about. But this one is treated in secrecy. Nobody knows about how they were employed, when they were employed, those who are there, what qualifications to be a member of Ebube. You see, I think that this Ebube should be for the state, not for an individual. It's something that will outlive the governor even when he leaves office. So that is why it is good to have something that is open. People should know about it. And those who are interested should apply to be members. But in this situation, nobody knows about it. All we know is that even the vehicles we hear they have tinted Sienna vehicles that is not identifiable. So how can somebody put it that way? So that's my problem with it. It appears that it's an agency constituted basically for political reasons, to victimize those who do not agree with the government, to frighten them out of existence. And for me, I feel that is not what Ebube should be. It should be for purely security, to help the police, the army in curbing banditry and making sure that the state is safe. And when the governor leaves, such agencies should also remain and be loyal to the state, not to individuals.
So, if nobody knows about them, as you've said, no uniforms whatsoever, no one knows who the head or their leader is, no vehicle bearing any of their insignia, how then did you come to the conclusion that those, whoever is doing what, are members of Ebube?
Because every day we hear about Ebube. We also know that they operate by blocking some streets in Abbas. It's not that they don't exist, but I'm saying the modus operandi of the existence, their recruitment mode, the way they are recruited, the qualification for entry, it should be thrown open for people who are interested, and not just personal selection of those that want to be members of Ebube. That's what I'm saying. Not that they don't exist, but I'm saying that the method and the mode of operation of Ebube, including the employment, should be made public.
Well, perhaps one of the things one might also consider is engagement. Yesterday, when we engaged the government representative in the studio here, one of the things he said was that there is a wide net of stakeholder consultations, and the suggestion was made, how about the opposition? And he said, of course, the opportunity is there also for the opposition to come and talk, with government, to engage with government for the progress of Ebonyi State. Is any such in plan?
No. In plan how? Whether they do that or they want to do that. What's the question?
No, I'm asking if there is any plan. Has there been any overture from government to you or to your caucus? And has there been any overture from your caucus to the government for the peace of the people?
No, there have not been any to us, asking us and informing us of any type of Ebube. But I know that the governors met, all the governors of the Southeast, they did meet and discussed and said they are going to come Ebube. And if you listen to one of the interviews, the governor of Ebonyi said that this Ebube is just a name to cover the various security outfits, that each state has their own outfit. And they will now come under the name of the Bagu. So I know that the governor has this outfit. Initially, he also had one they call Ekubaro, and a lot of, which is normal. I mean, for a governor to have such a group of people trying to work for the interest of the state, there's nothing bad in it. But I'm just saying that for such security agencies, it should not be shrouded in secrecy. It should be thrown open so that those who want to enter. Because you see, the issue is that if it is not that way, it becomes a tool for intimidation, a tool for harassment, a tool for making people not agree with you to be forced to agree with him or to run into extinction. We are opposition, we are PDP, even though the people on the ground are basically PDP. It is only the government that has left with his appointees. So Ebonyi State still remains PDP. And for me, I will want a situation where everybody is
hopefully we'll be able to get him back any moment now, because those issues are, quite germane. One would say, I mean, if the governors are the chief security officers of their states, they definitely have something. That's what he's talking about. But
well, the formation of some of these agencies, I remember I did ask the governor at that time too, that how do we ensure that, because he's not going to be in office forever, he just got a couple of years.
Yeah.
So when he leaves office, how do you ensure that it's not used for political gains? And, not that one is clairvoyant or anything, but if these allegations come through, even though yesterday they told us, look, no such thing. But again,
he who feels it knows it.
Did we actually expect that? Well, if they were doing that, they will. I don't know.
The accusation is out there, most certainly, of government. It's just a tall task for any government official to come and defend, so to speak, whatever it is that people are perceiving, because, hey, perception is reality as far as some people are concerned. So please go ahead, Senator.
Yeah, so like I was saying, so far it has not come to my knowledge that he has intimidated anybody. We are seeing the handwriting on the wall. And if you listen to the audio, the audio voice we talked about, you will see clearly where they are going to. A situation where you hear the security office telling the governor, yes, we are ready for you. You just need your body movement, and then we'll spring into action. And nobody is going to intimidate, is going to oppose whatever you say here. And you say, details of, you need to listen to that, but it is not something that I can share here, because it's already with the security agencies and the people who want to say when they go to see those. But the situation where you see such voice, you hear such statements, definitely as opposition, you feel worried, and that's exactly the purpose of our press conference, to allow the people, let them know that actually this is the plan of government to see full opposition in Ebonyi State.
Personally, the southern governors, when they met, just as you have referenced, they talked about their plans to, as much as possible, reduce tensions being caused by insecurity. APC caucus has supported them from the National Assembly. The PDP also has spoken, in agreement with what the southern governors are saying. But one wonders, what would be the position of the National Assembly about some of the pockets of insecurity that continues to change its shape in various parts of the country? What would you want Nigerians to know that at least the National Assembly, it's just the Senate, doing to contain this monster?
Well, if you observe, starting with the Senate, in fact, the National Assembly has organized a security summit. We have also invited the security chief, the head of various security agencies, to brief us. And then we have also partnered with them in trying to provide solutions and the best way to guide against this insecurity that has actually become a monster. It is really unfortunate that the issue of insecurity has become a major problem in this country. Almost all states of the federation are suffering one form of insecurity or another. And for us in the National Assembly, we have been worried, we have raised motion, we have said a lot of things about government trying to do the needful. For us as a legislature, we can only talk or make laws, the implementation and the operation is that of the executive.
As things stand today, does that then mean, but has the Senate actually addressed this matter? Because lately we've seen and heard comments, first from southern governors. In fact, northern governors spoke about it, southern governors have spoken about it, the president's given his perspective. What do you think about this, the president's latest comments concerning the resolutions of the southern governors?
Yeah, what did you say? I didn't hear it.
Well, some parts of it was saying that, well, those decisions by the southern governors first didn't offer any solutions concerning what to do about open grazing, and then he says there might be some illegalities in those submissions of the southern governors.
Well, you see, the southern governors, I think they are on the right path. They're trying to come up with solutions or suggestions on what they think will reduce this insecurity. Before now, there was open, people were going about, there's no problem. Almost every part of the country is still cattle being grazed, but the situation where now it is no longer grazing, it is now grazing by force. Whether you have farm, you don't have farm, they enter your farm and they pick up everything. And when you want to complain or resist, death follows. I think this is one of the reasons why the government this open grazing and the fact that it is already a thing, modern society, there's game reserves, there is other better ways of looking after this, including even though that our brothers who are the headers breaking all this number of living in the bush is not so to be encouraged, because no reasonable person will want to tired of relation to stay in the bush and be looking after this cattle. So we should find a better way of doing it, and that's exactly what Southern does. I'm sure it's not only Southern governors, a lot of Nigerians have that view.
There are different schools of thought concerning what to do and how to approach some of these things. Well, I think everybody agrees that something needs to be done, but can't seem to agree on how and what exactly needs to be done. So what's your impression about, first, the call for restructuring, depending on what you think it means? Do you think that there has to be a second look at the Constitution, or it's okay as it is?
I believe strongly, president. I was a member of the last national conference of 2014, and a lot of suggestions were put forward. And even in the floor of the Senate, I've also hammered and submit. Even if the government is not accepting it, there are some areas that there are certain areas, there are some points that are very, very germane, and we start implementing those ones they agree with. The government agrees with. And the one you don't agree with, you cannot put that one until you get a better consensus on how to go about it. So I believe that the restructuring will go a long way in helping us solve this security issue.
You know, while that conversation subsists, then there's this concern about the role of the state governors. First, if they talk about devolution of power, some equally think, well, devolution of power shouldn't just be from federal to states, that the states equally have to devolve powers to local governments in terms of ensuring that the local governments are the first line of governments really and truly, because they say as things stand, they're not sure that if this devolution of power were to happen the way some think it is, we just might have governors who perhaps might just become teen gods and not allow local government, judiciary function as they ought to independently?
Well, I think while we are talking about the devolution of power, with more power to the state, I also believe that more should, even at the state level, more should go to the local government. I was a governor, and in an attempt to actually reduce or cascade power down to the lower level, I created a development center. I was one of the first, if not the first, that started development centers in the country before Lagos, before Katsina, and many others, doing our own tenure. I started it, and the purpose is to get government closer to the grassroots. Money that is supposed to come to the local government should also go lower to the various communities. That way, people will see the impact of government. I believe in that. I also implemented it when I was a governor. And when it became like a problem as if we were opposing the federal government, of course, we changed the name from local government to development center because there was serious opposition against it. Because first, we are trying to get more from the federal government. And when they resisted that we didn't have power to do that, we now changed the name to development center. That's exactly what happened. So I believe that governors clamoring for devolution of power should also do same at the state level. A situation where you want more powers, but you're not ready to give that to below you acceptable. So I believe in the independence of the local government, the judiciary, and the state assembly. That's the way to go. And until we have gotten to that level, we're just playing a game.
Well, Senator, just give us a couple of minutes. We just have one or two other items to just get you to respond to. That will be when we return in just a moment. Please stay with us.
Thanks for staying with us. Senator, you started talking about this local government, administration, and the question that popped in my mind as you began to talk was related to all of the, back and forth about local government administration, the state joint local government account, and the fact that the local government is not listed in the Constitution the way the states and federal agencies are listed. So the question is there a confusion in the Constitution about local government administration in this country?
Yeah, I think the way it is currently operated has structured it because of the consistent. I will say that. Apart from, even if any policy is good, it depends on the operators. They may decide to abuse it. We're talking about constitution. Even of constitutions, if you give it to the wrong people, they will still abuse it. The issue of local government, you talked about joint allocation, just the issue of and not having a full autonomy. I think we should use this opportunity of constitution review to change something. There should be no need of having joint local government and state accounts. Money due to the local government should go to them directly. Even the so-called 10% or 5% that the state is supposed to give, it doesn't work. It's not here. So whatever comes to them, to go to them. And the state government governors should just face with what they have at federal allocation or the internal generated revenue they have gotten from the state, and allow local government to operate the way it should be. So I think we, like I said, no matter how good a policy or a constitution or a law is, it is bound to be abused. But it's also good to make it in a way that the abuse is minimal. So I would want that through constitutional review, we should remove all those ambiguities that we have seen in the local government administration.
What do you think should be done about reorganizing the policing structure in this country?
Well, the policing structure, the way I see it, again, is not good. Security is local. You can't come to my community or in my state and get somebody who does not know anything about the geography of the place or the individuals of the state to be in charge of security. It should be localized. To that extent, I think that we should have a federal police, we have a state security police, and possibly go down to having a local. It we said before, we used to have customary calls or in the southeast, and in the northern part, we used to have some also local police that existed at that time. We should be going forward, not going backward. Now, a situation where it appears we are running a unitary system is not good for us. It's not a shame that countries that we started with have overtaken us because of the way the system operates in this country. So I think that we should go back to that discussion. Even if you don't, a situation where states are free to model their own administration the way that suits their peculiarities. So I believe that with the structure, we'll be able to. In fact, there will be competition among states. Some people will be given reference to go to this state, see how security is organized, go to this state and see how they are doing this, and every state will like to be the best. Because if you don't do that, your people will be on you. So I think if we restructure and give more power to the state and allow the state to handle the issue of the local policing, the issue of organizing security in their state, I think it will go a long way to making sure that. And don't forget that we're talking about institutions now. Institutions is such that when they are strong, when they are solid, they do not recognize whoever is the governor, whoever is the president. Like in America, their loyalty is to the constitution of the country. They will make sure what they operate and do what the constitution says, irrespective of who is in power. That's what when I'm talking about a stronger institution. Let me take you back to Ebube. The Ebube issue we're talking about, if we do it the way I have suggested, throw it open, let people who want to be members apply, let a minimum requirement, and then that is how to build an institution. The institution will be there, irrespective of who is there as the governor. A situation where the governor determines who becomes a member, determines everything about it. The loyalty will be to the man who employs him. So we're talking about building institutions.
All right, well, just let's wind down with this one now. You know, there was a lot of hype and build-up in the 8th Assembly about amending the Constitution, local policing or state policing, as it were, and eventually it fell through. The hopes were dashed on the part of Nigerians because that Assembly didn't pass it. Now, the 9th Assembly. Many think that this 9th Assembly is a rubber stamp. So, do you think that this 9th Assembly will actually see to the passage of this or give the country reorganization, local or state policing, as it were?
Yeah, I think this 9th Assembly is actually working hard to making sure that government is supported to do the right thing, I don't think as a National Assembly we are supposed to be as in government. But at the same time, we should be able to stand firm and say, look, this is not good for the people because we are representing the people. The 109 of us in the Senate, there's a quality of it, on the basis of which we are three states, and we are representing the people. We should be able to, as much as we are going to work with the governor, the president, we should also be able to say, no, this one we don't agree. And it's not when you do that, it's not that you're opposing government, it's not as if you're opposing Buhari, but you are saying the interest of the country is paramount.
All right, then, Senator Sam Egwu, Chairman, Senate Committee on Housing and former Governor of Ebonyi State. Thank you very much indeed for your perspective this morning.
Not having.
Well, thank you for talking to us this morning, Senator. Well, there you go. Well, yes, we'll turn attention now to, remember the unfortunate plane crash that claimed the lives of the Chief of Army Staff, among some others. We'll talk about that